Good people, welcome to the Basketball Society podcast. I am your host, Martin Soares, and I want to have as many basketball conversations as possible with you. So please subscribe wherever you're listening from, and also check out the YouTube channel for video episodes and even more content from Basketball Society. Thank you for being a part of the Basketball Society podcast family. Stay tapped in. All right, welcome back to the show, people. If you've been listening to my reactions and my rants from the 2023 NBA Finals, welcome back for my final episode, kind of recapping the finals and getting into some more conversations that are coming up now about Denver, Miami, Nikola Jokic, and all that good stuff. So I'm going to give you some thoughts that I have about some conversations and some narratives that are out there right now. Obviously, Denver won Game 5, 94-89, and the Denver Nuggets are NBA champs. Nikola Jokic is the best player in the league. It's not just the fact that skill is at the forefront and on display. It's the fact that it's a big man doing it. And we've been getting used to seeing bigs that are versatile, that can pass the ball, that can put it on the floor, that can score the ball. Even I saw the clip of Karl-Anthony Towns on Patrick Beverley's podcast talking about how he feels like people will say that he helped to change the game. And people are getting on him for that, but I'm just going to put it out there quick. I mean, he's in that conversation too. Karl-Anthony Towns is one of those bigs who showed you he could stretch the floor, put the ball on the floor, make plays. He's not your traditional center. He's actually a hybrid post. I believe I would have that right. I'm getting my new basketball positions down. Shout out to my guy Rashad Phillips, the basketball position metric, from LaMarcus Aldridge to Dirk to Marc Gasol. I mean, we've seen plenty of bigs that have shown the ability to shoot the ball from three, pass the ball, make plays. They're not that traditional back to the basket center. So the positions have been evolving. The position has been evolving, the big man position. And after Game 4, I'm pretty sure it was, the Aaron Gordon game, size and skill was my biggest emphasis in my reaction to that game. Because over time, I mean, that was the clear difference between Denver and Miami, even from Game 1. Like, Miami plays more small ball and Denver has the size. So having Denver's best player be their biggest player and their most skilled player and their best player, that, I mean, it's crazy to see what has happened. I think that Jokic just really, really put pressure on Joel Embiid. Jokic is the two best bigs in the league. One of them went on to win the title, dominated the playoffs and the finals, won the title. Jokic has won the last 2 MVPs. Some people felt like he could have won the third straight, right? But Embiid got it, and I think plenty of people feel like he deserved. I mean, he had more of a dominant regular season as far as his numbers, but the same season that Embiid dominates the regular season, earns his first MVP, his counterpart Jokic goes on to win the title, dominate, not just win the title, but dominate, bust up Rudy Gobert, DeAndre Ayton, Anthony Davis, Bam Adebayo, all the way down the line, bang, 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 wins the title, best player in the league now. I mean, that dynamic is really crazy. The fact that Embiid, in the same season he gets his MVP, Jokic wins the title. What that also says is that the two best bigs in the league were technically the 2 best players in the league this year. Jokic has kind of been biding his time. He really kind of just needed his guys to be healthy, it looks like. And he kept figuring things out, getting in better shape year to year. I mean, again, he's won the last 2 MVPs, so he has started to dominate the league. We haven't been talking about it enough, and Denver has been shorthanded. Jamal Murray, right, wasn't even right 2 years ago. I mean, they took their time and they put it together and figured it out. And Jokic was in just the right place physically and with his game dominance wise, where it didn't matter if he won MVP or not this year. Clearly, he's kind of just playing the way he's always been playing. His guys were just more healthy and maybe a little more motivated knowing that we're all healthy and they all recognize that this guy can get us there. But it's really interesting to see the level that Jokic took it to, because I mean, everyone's talking about just the level of dominance, the kind of dominant run that this was through the playoffs and through the finals. You know, I still think it's just the fact that it's like from a big man. We haven't seen a big win NBA Finals MVP since Shaq 20 years ago. He's the first player in NBA history to lead the playoffs in total points, rebounds, and assists. First player in NBA history to have over 500 points and over 100 assists in a single postseason as a center. First player in NBA history with 10 triple-doubles in the postseason. It's all about the production. It's the fact that he was scoring so much. He averaged 30. The rebounds are probably the least, dominant part of the three main stats: the points, the rebounds, the assists. The assists are what separate Jokic in terms of his dominance. Like, not like physically, he is dominant and he wears you out physically with his size. Even though he slimmed down and he got in better shape, he's still a handful. He's a huge body to deal with. Usually big guys like that, you can make them be clumsy and travel and pass the ball away or something and just do something stupid. You can't do that with him. He's an extraordinary passer, not a good passer, not a great passer. He's extraordinary. Next level. Denver scored 23 points a game in the playoffs off of Jokic assists, and he averaged 30. So they got over 50 points a game. Jokic really averaged 50. I would love to know how many players in the playoffs didn't average 20 points a game. I mean, what? That level of production is what separates Jokic, makes him just like, there's no real comparison. I posted a video on our Instagram, Basketball Society _ if you don't follow us already, but there's a video on there that features a tweet of mine during the finals. At one point, I tweeted to somebody, I think it was my bro C, and I said, yo, Jokic, it really hit me at one point. I'm like, bro, Jokic is basically Marc Gasol with sliders turned up. Backdoor passes, like they make a lot of similar reads. But I mean, Jokic and Gasol, I could see it right away, and I had to do the video. I had to make clips to show just how close it was. Marc Gasol was not going for 30, 20, and 10 in the finals. He wasn't dominating the league like that. So like Jokic has some of the best, passing bigs in him. Jokic he's already probably the best passing big man of all time. So he has that. That's what separates him from any other dominant big you might want to talk about. Shaq, Hakeem. It's hard to really compare Jokic to any other great big. I mean, if he's going to keep dominating like this, then yeah, I mean, people want to project dynasty, I don't know how anyone could feel so convicted, especially in the landscape we're in now. We've had 5 different champions in the last 5 years. That's the first time that's happened in 40 years. Going back to 2019, it would be Raptors, Lakers, Bucks, Warriors, Nuggets. 5 different champions in the last 5 years. That hasn't happened in 40 years. That hasn't happened since 1977 to 1981. So in the landscape that we're in, I don't know how anyone can guarantee and just say foregone, like Denver's about to be a dynasty. Yeah, if everything stays the same, then yeah, they'll win the next 3-4 championships. But things change. Too many variables. This league has been changing drastically season to season for the last like 5 to 10 years. It's a lot to keep up with. It's a lot of movement. When my brother sees a game randomly on TV when I'm watching a game and he's like, yo, when did Kyrie Irving go to Dallas? James Harden is on Philadelphia. He is so, every time he picks up his head to look at a game, which he barely watches, but he'll look up and say, yo, is that Kawhi Leonard on the Clippers? Like he doesn't keep up. So like it's a lot of movement that happens. This is I don't know what people don't understand about this. Tatum's been to the finals. He's knocking at the door. Booker's been to the finals. He's knocking at the door. He's got Durant now. Miami has been knocking at the door. 2 finals in the last 4 years. They're right there. They've been getting there. There's opportunity out here in the NBA right now. Jokic would have to come back exactly the same, which I feel like his whole mentality about him not celebrating much, saying he just wants to get back to the farm. He wants to get back home to Serbia. Very, very different from celebrations we've seen before when people get their first ring, right? And Jokic has taken a good amount of scrutiny. It's just that he legitimately doesn't subscribe to that. He doesn't care. And it's hard to do that. I mean, at some level he probably cares, but he doesn't care enough to make a burner account, for example. He doesn't care that much, right? Like literally nowhere close to that does he care. You probably care a little bit. You have to care a little bit, but it doesn't care. He doesn't care enough for it to affect him. So that is, and I've seen people saying like that's scary. That is very scary for your best player to be that humble and that just really literally not just saying he doesn't care, not just saying I don't go on social media and all that. He legit won that game and said, she asked him, how does it feel to be a champion? It's good. It's good. You know, I can go home now. He sounded like me after I win a men's league championship. I go into leagues to win leagues. And so, you know, usually we'll win. And it's like, you know, this is great. And usually it means more to some other people. It seems like it means more to them. I'll look around and it's like celebration. It's like guys are like really happy that we won this men's league in, you know, in Monroe or in, you know, some random town in Pennsylvania. Like, and it's great to win. I love winning. I mean, it's part of why I go to play. Like I play to win, and I love that feeling. So that's what I'm playing for, to get that feeling. So I get it. But I just don't find myself celebrating. I find myself like Jokic was like, it's good. Like it's good. I'm good job, guys. Like I'm glad we won. I want to go home now and go to bed. That mentality from Jokic, the best player in the league, is absolutely scary. That is one reason to think that Denver, but again, he has to keep dominating. I'm sure he'll be playing the same way. You know, I'm sure he'll stay in shape. I'm sure, you know, he doesn't have to be addicted to this feeling and talk about how he wants to win multiple championships for that to happen. You know, I just think based on how the league has been lately and the league that we're looking at, anything can happen. Teams are only getting better. Injuries, it's just too many variables to consider to automatically crown Denver as the next dynasty. I don't know how people, I mean, I know why people go there because we're in a hot take era and all that, but that's not, I mean, why I'm more of like, let's see what we're working with come October next NBA season to really evaluate, okay, who's doing what. You know, then we get to Christmas, like let teams show us who they are. You never know where teams and players are going to be. Basketball is a game of size. I mean, we have great small players. We've had great small players in history and will continue to. And I mean, we've seen small players dominate too at the highest level. If you're walking around anywhere, if you're 6'9" and above, people know you play basketball. If you're 6'6" and above, people assume you play basketball. But if you're 6'9", if you're walking around 7 feet, people know you playing basketball somewhere. And if not, you better be playing volleyball. Basketball is a game of size. It is. When you have size that is uncoordinated, unskilled, unaware, clumsy, doesn't remember plays. I mean, if you have a big who is just not putting it together. But if you have a big who is super skilled, who has the timing, the touch, the footwork, elite passing, if you have a big 7-foot big who then has all of that, you're in trouble. It looks like really all he needed was his guys healthy. They really put together. They just needed time. They gave it time. They stuck with their guys. They stuck with their coach. I saw Tim Legler from ESPN tweet this. So I this is a real thing. I think we all want to see Jokic go up against, Giannis or Embiid, in the finals. Like, I think we want to see him. We should want to see him, right? I mean, especially now, he's going into all-time great mode. So you always would love to see those big-time headliner matchups. Especially in the finals. Jokic did go up against Durant and Booker in his own conference and LeBron and AD. But in terms of that finals matchup, not taking anything away from Miami, because if you had been listening, you would know I have all the respect for Miami and what they did, even though they were shorthanded, limited. The matchup obviously favored Denver, and they had the better player. They had the better two players. I'm not taking away from Miami as their opponent. I'm just saying, like, sustained success in the finals and continuing to win, you're going to see different people in your own conference. And if Denver's back in the finals next year, I mean, they could be seeing Miami again. We'll see what happens. But the East, the East is funky in itself. I mean, that's why we saw an 8 seed come up. They took out Milwaukee. They took out Boston. The Knicks won a playoff series. The Knicks. So you never know what's going to be happening in the East next season. That's something you really can't predict yet. Boston and Milwaukee will be back. We know that. Boston has, I think, a little more to figure out, but Milwaukee has a new coach. They just got thrown into this Bradley Beal thing recently, so they might be trying to make some adjustments. But I mean, look, Giannis got hurt. I mean, Giannis was hurt. I'm not making excuses, but just facts. Like, Giannis did get injured. I don't think he was really right after that against Miami in that series. I think Giannis and Milwaukee will be back. There'll be a couple years removed now from their title in 2021. I think they will have motivation to come back, and Giannis will have motivation to come back and show that, like, that wasn't a fluke type of thing. But Giannis also has, similar to Jokic, the thing where, he kind of has like a carefree thing. Just because Jokic is saying that basketball is just like something I'm good at, it's not who I am. Just because, by the way, Kyrie has said stuff like this. Russell Westbrook has said stuff like this. And I think the difference is that, like, Jokic said it after he won. I think Giannis started talking more like that after he won. It doesn't take away from how great they're going to be. I mean, look at what Jokic just did. Look how great he was. Not to get too deep on you guys, but this is a mindfulness thing now. When you surrender the outcome, I got that from my guy Tyson Etienne. Shout out to him. Much love to my bro. Surrendering the outcome. Like, when you go in to a game, a high stakes game or a high stakes playoff series, and you really, really, really care, like, you want this. Look at what happened to LeBron in 2011, yo. He collapsed against Dallas. He knows it. Everyone knows it. We all saw it. He just flat out collapsed. And I think that's one of many examples where it's just something that you want so bad. It happened to me in college. I felt like I had to win a conference championship in college. I treated that like, if I did that, my whole life would be set. Mainly because I wanted to, like, I didn't know that would be the case. I just really wanted to win. My school had never won a conference championship. I won a state championship for my high school for the first time in like over 30 years. So I was really into making history, and I'm like, this will be great for the school, great for me. This is what needs to happen. And I ended up putting a lot of unnecessary pressure on myself, which affected me, and we didn't win. When you put that much pressure on yourself, it is not good. It's toxic. And some people deal well with that pressure. Some people embrace that, and that's fine. And I was able to embrace pressure in moments. But when it's like this lofty thing, like an NBA title, if all you're thinking about is, I got to get this. Again, some people, that might drive them to play as forcefully as they need to play to win, to play winning basketball. But that pressure, man, I'm telling you, when you're able to just surrender the outcome like that, good things happen. And I think that's what we just saw happen with Jokic in Denver. He played it cool the whole way through. He doesn't give you sound bites. He doesn't give you, the celebrations, pointing at the finger, pointing at the ring finger. Again, nothing against Steph, nothing against LeBron, nothing against Giannis or anyone else who has celebrated when they win. Everyone's different. And that's what's beautiful about what we're seeing in basketball right now, right before our eyes, because that's what makes it so similar to society, especially the way the world is evolving now. Basketball is evolving right with it. You've got all these different kind of styles and flavors, right? You got all these different types of people that do things at a high level, that play the game at a high level. When it comes to winning, obviously this is a team sport. So again, Denver sustaining that success is going to be really difficult. If they all stay healthy, if Jokic is exactly what if he comes back exactly the same, then I guess he's going to have another MVP season, dominate the league again. And Denver will be right back in the Western Conference Finals against the Lakers or the Warriors or the Clippers or the Mavericks or, against somebody. But if Denver is going to stay like this, then yeah, they'll be the top team in the league. But the West is going to be competing, and we've had 5 different teams come out of the West in the last 5 years. I think it's set up for it to be a different team next year. Again, unless Denver is literally going to be just as dominant, if not better. And I don't put that past Jokic. I think he's coming back and playing the same kind of basketball. But you need all 4 other guys, the starters, to be healthy, motivated, all that, and even better than they were this year. Everyone's got to get like a little bit better. So many things have to go right to sustain success, especially in the NBA. So I'm not jumping to anything crazy. If you have been listening to the show back from, I think, October, on an episode where I talked about who's the best player in the league right now, right before or right at the start of the NBA season. The way the league was and is, we're going to see about 5 to 7 guys make claims as possibly the best player in the league. Steph, Giannis, Jokic, Embiid, KD, and maybe LeBron, depending on who you talk to. I mean, LeBron was playing MVP level. He's still doing his 27, 7-7, throughout the season. So I just saw the crop of elite players making for just probably the most controversial and subjective era of who's the best player in basketball that maybe we've ever seen. I really saw that coming at the start of this season. And now that it's Jokic, because he won the title, and automatically that's who becomes the best player in the league. It was Steph last year. It was Giannis the year before. That's just how it is. Whoever's at the top of the mountain at the end, in June, raising that Larry O'Brien trophy, it doesn't have to be the finals MVP, but the best player on the team that wins the championship is usually deemed best player in the league until otherwise. Now, if there's somebody out there who is just like decisively better, then you have to make that argument. Like, I'm sure there are people who would still take Giannis over Jokic. There are people who would still take Durant over Jokic. It always comes down to preference, style of play. Do you like bigs? Do you prefer wings or shooting guards? Do you prefer guard play, 3-point shooting? It depending on who you talk to, and then now there's so much to pick from. There are so many styles to pick from at all the positions. So it's tougher and tougher to decide. Right in this era we're in right now, it's tough to have an outright consensus decision of who is the best player in the world. And usually the best player in the league is thus the best player in the world. That's what I'm realizing. I even said in that episode back in October, I feel like there may be a distinction between best player in the NBA and best player in the world. I don't know if they're always the same. After these finals, now I'm hearing the rhetoric again. I'm like, okay, that is usually what happens, I guess. We say the best player in the league is also the best player in the world. It's the same thing. But automatically, Jokic is now the best player in the league. You ask someone, who would you start your franchise with today? You ask 10 people, all 10 people are not going to say Jokic. Jokic is the best player in the league, though. I mean, he has that now. He has that. But that's where, if you know me and you know what I like to do on this show, I mean, we like to talk strictly basketball. I can tell you who I think is better between Kevin Garnett. No, I tell you who I know is better, who we all know is better between Kevin Garnett and Robert Horry. Does it matter that Robert Horry has 7 championship rings and KG has 1? Now, that's the whole legacy versus ability thing that I like to talk about, but ability versus ability is a thing too. If I go up to someone, if I'm telling someone that I'm a better player than them, and this is a true to the bone basketball thing. And I know this is a team sport, but get with me on this, because this is just, as a hooper, this is something that you understand. If I'm talking to somebody, a friend, a cousin, or somebody, if I'm explaining to them, or I'm vouching to them, if I'm saying like, I'm a better player than you, if I say to someone, I'm better than you, essentially what I'm saying is, if we have a ball and a basket and a court or something right now, and we were to check up, I will beat you. And if we play 5 games, I'll probably beat you 4 or 5 out of 5 games. I'm better than you. So when I look at two players, if I say, and again, I know it's a team sport, I know, trust me, I understand, but this is a hooper thing. If I'm talking about who's better between so-and-so and so-and-so, I mean, if they're 2 NBA guys, I might be think about what they've done in the league, what their games are. Basketball, dribbling, shooting, passing, defending, instincts, IQ. I mean, basketball things, just basically the fundamentals. How many of the fundamentals, do you do well or at an elite level? You compare those things and then you determine who you think is better. Not who's been to the playoffs more, who has more MVPs, who has this, who has that. No, I don't have to do that. If you're saying somebody's better, that means if they were to check rock, you're saying they're going to wear that person out. Not that I'm not saying I'm better than you to say that on my team, when I'm with my team, my team is better than your team. No, I'm saying I'm better than you. Not my team is better than your team when I'm on it and you're on your team. I'm saying that I'm better than you individually, one-on-one. Is Nikola Jokic better than Steph Curry? Is he better than Kevin Durant? Is he better than Giannis? Maybe he is. Production-wise, numbers-wise, he just is. What determines Jokic's all-time greatness? I mean, he's in there now. He's an all-time great because he's won a ring. He has 2 MVPs. The way in which he dominated and won this, he's already an all-time great, the kind of player he is and what he's done on paper. What he continues to do, how or if he continues to dominate is what's going to determine like where he is all time. It's been a big man's game for a while, but when you have these special bigs come along who bring along this elite skill, and then you have guys around him that know how to play, this is what happens. You're in trouble. Jamal Murray, if I can just end quickly with a thought on Jamal Murray. It's clear that Jamal Murray is the perfect guard complement to Jokic. The way they play together, I don't know if any other player outside of maybe Steph himself would play off of Jokic as smoothly and as well as Jamal Murray does. His movement, his shooting, and then the way his playmaking has come alive. Over 10 assists every game of the finals. The first player in history to do that in their first finals. He put up a 30-point triple-double game in the finals, in his first finals. It's really interesting. Jamal Murray has now leaped a lot of his peers. Devin Booker, he went to the finals a couple years ago, lost to Giannis. Trae Young, Ja Morant, these guys have been in the playoffs. Luka, been to the conference finals. A lot of these young stars that are coming up, and there are a lot of them. Jamal Murray, and I guess what's the difference, None of those guys I named have a Jokic. Booker just got Durant. Luka just got Kyrie this season, just, off desperation, the trade from Brooklyn. Like I said, Trae, Ja, they've been to the playoffs. Ja Morant has other stuff to figure out, obviously, too. But none of them have a Jokic. Having a true point center who also scores the way he does, yeah. If it's Jamal Murray and Jokic, if those two are right and healthy and motivated and all good to go and even just a little bit better next year, yeah, they're back in the conference finals. Michael Porter Jr. and Aaron Gordon, I mean, I said that I felt like Denver was going to need them to beat the Lakers. They didn't. I thought they would need big games from Aaron Gordon and Michael Porter Jr., kind of like what they got against Miami. I thought Denver was going to need that against the Lakers because of what they had on the wing and their size and their depth. But they really didn't. Porter Jr. and Aaron Gordon, they're just as important. That whole starting five, KCP, I mean, that whole starting five unit, the combination of things that they do, those five, I mean, I talked about it, throughout the finals. The production you get is just insane on both ends too, offense and defense. Different guys do different things. Gordon is the only like kind of non-shooter out of the five. They can, and Gordon would hit, 1 or 2 threes every now and then, but he's the only non-shooter, but he does everything else. And he's so physical, and his size, and just understanding how to play off Jokic. That really is a special five. It might take an elite duo, or someone figuring out a way to make another super team. But it might take a real elite duo, not a Jimmy and Bam, but like a Kawhi and Paul George. I don't know where Tatum and Brown are going to be going, but it would take, or like a Giannis, like a Milwaukee or someone like that, or team like that, to really to rival Denver if they have those five guys healthy. If they have Murray and Jokic back healthy, motivated a little bit better, that probably gets them back to the conference finals. Just having Murray and Jokic, because it's really those two even emerged and leaped other duos. We've been in this crazy duo era. LeBron and AD, they got a ring together, obviously. I mentioned Kawhi and Paul George. I mean, we've been in this little duo era. Murray and Jokic just leapt their way to the top. They're all the way at the top now. I appreciate you guys for listening to the show and for listening to the reactions to every game of the NBA Finals so far. I'm Martin Soares. This is the Basketball Society podcast. Stay tapped in for more episodes coming very soon to talk more basketball with you guys across the basketball multiverse. Much love to you guys for listening. Remember, listen on YouTube and leave comments, engage with me on there. And if you're on Apple Podcasts, leave a comment, rating, and review for me. Much love to you guys. Stay tapped in. I'll talk to you next time.